before Trey Millsap became the man who shocked 14,000 people at the Lazy E Arena. He was a kid sitting on the tailgate of his father's truck outside the Elk City Rodeo grounds, watching bull riders through a chain-link fence because his family couldn't afford the $8 admission. His father, Dale Millsap, was a pipeline welder. Good money when the work was there, no money when it wasn't. And in 2008, when oil prices collapsed and the pipeline jobs dried up across western Oklahoma, there was no money for a long time. Trey was 12. His mother had left when he was 9. Moved to Tulsa with a man who sold insurance and had opinions about everything, including the fact that Trey should play football instead of hanging around rodeo arenas with cowboys who smelled like dirt and failure. Trey chose the dirt. Dale didn't push him toward bull riding, didn't push him away from it either. He just drove Trey to every junior rodeo within 100 miles, let the boy watch, and waited for him to say the words. When Trey finally said, "I want to ride," Dale spent $300 he didn't have on a used protective vest, a helmet with a cracked face guard, and entry fees for the Elk City Junior Division. Trey rode his first bull at 13, a 600-pound yearling that spun him off in 2.3 seconds and left him sitting in the dirt with a mouthful of arena sand and a grin so wide that Dale knew this wasn't a phase. This was the kid's life. By 16, Trey was winning junior events across Oklahoma. By 18, he'd graduated high school with a C average and a trophy collection that wouldn't fit in his bedroom. By 21, he turned pro, entered the Prairie Circuit, the regional tier of professional bull riding that covers Oklahoma, Kansas, and parts of Texas. Not the big show, not the televised finals in Las Vegas, the circuit where you drive 8 hours for a shot at $800 and consider it a good week. Trey was good, not great. He had balance and guts, but he was thin. 145 pounds on a frame that needed 160 to absorb the impact of a 1,500-pound animal trying to throw him into the sky. He rode on instinct and adrenaline, which works until it doesn't. It stopped working on August 9th at the Woodward Rodeo, a bull named Tailspin. Brahman Cross. 1,500 pounds. Trey drew him in the short round, the final round where the money doubles and so does the risk. Tailspin came out of the chute spinning left, which was Trey's weak side. At 3 seconds, the bull reversed direction. Trey's body went one way, the bull went the other. He hit the ground on his left side, and Tailspin stepped on his pelvis on the way to the exit gate. Fractured in 2 places. The left side of his pelvis cracked along lines that the surgeon later drew on a whiteboard like a road map to a town nobody wanted to visit. Surgery, 6 screws, 8 weeks in a wheelchair, then physical therapy in a clinic in Stillwater where the walls were covered in posters about recovery that Trey didn't read because reading about recovery isn't the same as doing it. His therapist was Dana Cho, 32, former competitive gymnast who'd blown out her own knee at 19 and understood what it meant to have a body that used to do things it couldn't do anymore. She didn't talk to Trey like a patient. She talked to him like someone who'd been there. "Your pelvis healed," she told him at month 6. "The bone is solid, the screws are holding. But your body learned something from that injury that it's not going to forget. Every time you try to make a fast lateral move, your nervous system slams the brakes. Not because you're weak, because it remembers what happened last time. And it's trying to save you from it happening again. So my body thinks I'm still getting stepped on. Your body thinks the next spin is the one that finishes you. And until you prove it wrong, it's going to keep shutting you down at exactly the moment you need it most." 14 months of therapy. Trey worked. He regained range of motion, rebuilt core strength, got back on a mechanical bull at a training facility outside of Stillwater, and made it through the full 8 seconds at medium speed. But every time the operator cranked the intensity to competition level, Trey's left side locked up, his body braked. The invisible injury that didn't show on x-rays but showed in every movement that mattered. Dana cleared him physically at month 14. His body could ride. His nerve couldn't. She told him something that stuck. "You need a bull that will push you just past the place where your body breaks, but not so far that it breaks you again. That bull doesn't exist in a training facility. You need a real animal, one that will make you fight for it." Nobody had what Trey needed. Practice bulls at training facilities were either mechanical or retired, predictable in ways that didn't trigger the real fear response. Competition bulls were too dangerous for a rider whose body still flinched at the critical moment. Then his friend Cody Jessup mentioned a bull in Cushing. Stock contractor named Floyd Kepler has a bull he's about to send to the sale barn. Young bull, athletic. But he fades out at 3 seconds. Every ride, same thing. Comes out of the chute like a bomb, then just quits. 4 contractors dropped him. Floyd's done trying. Why does he fade? Nobody knows. The bull's healthy, strong. He's got the power. He just stops using it halfway through. Trey drove to Cushing the next Saturday. Floyd Kepler was 61. He'd been contracting bucking stock for 30 years. His operation was small. 20 bulls, a set of practice pens behind his barn, and a single chute arena he'd built with his own hands in 1992. He'd produced some decent bulls in his time, but nobody confused Floyd's stock with the big-name operations in Decatur or Weatherford. The bull was in the far pen. A 5-year-old, dark gray with a black face, 1,600 pounds, compact. The kind of build that says power without shouting about it. He was standing alone, separated from the other bulls by choice rather than by fencing. Not pacing, not agitated, just apart. His name was Nickel. Floyd named all his bulls after coins because he said that's what they were worth to him until they proved otherwise. That's $500 of wasted potential right there, Floyd said, leaning on the fence. His first 2 seconds out of the chute would make you think you're watching a world champion. Then he quits. Every single time. 3 seconds in, his intensity drops, and he turns into a trail ride. Judges can't score a bull that stops trying. Trey watched Nickel for a while. The bull watched him back with an expression that Trey recognized. Not hostile, not friendly, guarded. The look of something that had been evaluated and dismissed enough times to stop performing for strangers. What happened to him? Floyd shrugged. I bought him as a 3-year-old from a ranch near Ponca City. He'd been started in bucking pens as a yearling. First reports were great, explosive, athletic, high kick. Then something changed. By his second season, the fade was there. I've had 2 vets and an animal behaviorist look at him. Nothing wrong physically. He just shuts down. Always at the same point? Always. Right when he should be transitioning from the straight line burst to the spin. Like he starts to commit to the turn and then backs off. Every time. Trey felt something shift in his chest. The same shift he'd felt at 13, sitting in the dirt with a mouthful of sand and a grin that told his father everything. He knew this bull. Not literally, but he knew the problem. Because he had the same one. An animal that has the power to perform, but shuts down at the moment of commitment because somewhere in its history, that commitment led to pain. Dana's words. Applied to a 1,600-pound bull instead of a 145-pound rider. Same mechanism, same result, same invisible injury. I want to lease him, Trey said. Floyd laughed. Son, I'm about to sell him for beef. $500. 3 months. Your arena. Your chutes. If he's the same bull at the end of 3 months, sell him. If he's not, we'll talk. Floyd looked at Trey, looked at the bull, looked at Trey again. Saw something in the rider's eyes that he'd seen in Nichols the day he bought him. Before the fade set in. Before the quitting started. Before the light went to half. Deal, Floyd said. But I'm not liable for what happens to you in that arena. Trey didn't get on Nichols' back for the first 2 weeks. Instead, he did something that made Floyd think the kid had lost his mind from the pelvis injury. He worked with the bull in the pen. On foot, walking circles, changing directions, using feed to guide Nickel through the exact movement pattern that triggered the shutdown, the transition from forward motion to lateral spin. He'd walk beside the bull, turn left. Nickel would follow for a step, then balk, plant his feet, refuse the turn. The same hesitation he showed in the arena at 3 seconds. Trey would stop. Wait. Let Nickel reset. Then try again. Day after day, circle after circle, the slow, grinding work of teaching a body that a turn doesn't have to end in pain. Floyd watched from the fence. What in the hell are you doing? What my therapist did to me, showing him that the movement he's afraid of isn't going to hurt him, but he has to make it enough times without a bad outcome that his nervous system rewrites the file. You're doing physical therapy on a bull. Trey looked at Floyd. He's got the same injury I have. His isn't in his pelvis, it's in his head. But the fix is the same. Repetition without pain, until the body forgets to be afraid. By week 3, Nickel was completing full circles without hesitation. His transitions were smooth. His body had stopped breaking at the point of commitment. Trey got in the chute. First ride. Nickel came out hard. 2 seconds of the explosive power that had made scouts pay attention years ago. 3 seconds. The fade point. Nickel didn't fade. He transitioned into a full spinning buck that launched Trey at 4.5 seconds. Trey hit the dirt, lay there staring at the Oklahoma sky, dust in his teeth, pelvis aching in a language he hadn't heard in months, and he was laughing. Floyd ran over. "You okay?" "He didn't quit, Floyd. He threw me. That's not the same thing." Trey got back on the next day, made it to 5 seconds, then 6, then 7. The bull and the rider were learning the same lesson at the same time. Commitment doesn't always end in damage. Sometimes it ends in 8 seconds. But the real test wasn't the practice arena. The real test was competition. Other riders, judges, a crowd, the noise and pressure that separated practice from performance. Trey entered the Prairie Circuit Finals at the Lazy E Arena in Guthrie. The draw committee almost rejected Nickel. His competition scores from 2 seasons ago were too low. Trey appealed with video from the last month of practice. Full performances, no fade. The committee watched the footage, argued for an hour, and approved the entry. 2 weeks before the finals, Trey got a call that changed the stakes. The reigning Prairie Circuit champion, a rider named Brock Kimball from Weatherford, had drawn the highest-ranked bull in the event, a 1,400-pound spinner called Dark Money who'd bucked off 92% of riders that season. Brock was 23, sponsored, and had never finished below second place in his career. He was what Trey would have been if the pipeline money had held and the pelvis hadn't broken. Brock's guaranteed score was projected at 88 or above. To beat him, Trey needed 90, on a bull that 4 contractors had dropped. Dale drove down from Elk City for the finals. First time he'd watched Trey ride in 22 months. He sat in the stands wearing the same canvas jacket he'd worn to every junior rodeo, holding a coffee he wasn't drinking, his hands doing the thing they did when he was too nervous to be still. 14,000 people. Standing room only. The Lazy E Arena in Guthrie. The cathedral of regional bull riding. Brock Kimball rode first. Dark Money. The bull was everything his rank suggested. Violent, fast, a spinning machine that tested every muscle in a rider's body. Brock rode him clean. 8 seconds. Smooth dismount. The scoreboard flashed 87.5. High, very high, the kind of score that usually wins finals. Then, chute 4. Trey lowered onto Nickel's back, felt the bull's muscles coil beneath him. The same coil he'd felt 100 times in Floyd's arena. But this time, there were 14,000 people watching, and a scoreboard that said 87.5 to beat. He wrapped his left hand, raised his right arm, looked down at Nickel's dark gray neck. "Don't quit on me," Trey said, quiet enough that only the bull could hear. "And I won't quit on you." He nodded. The gate opened. Nickel came out like he'd been waiting 5 years for this moment. First, second. Straight line explosion. Second. The transition. The point where everything used to stop. It didn't stop. Nickel spun left. Full power. Back hooves kicking higher than they'd kicked in Floyd's arena, higher than they'd kicked in any practice session. The crowd noise hit a frequency that made the air thick. Trey's body moved with the bull, not fighting the motion, riding it, finding the center of the spin and holding there while 1,600 pounds of animal tried to shake him loose. 4 seconds. 5. 6. Trey's pelvis was screaming. The screws were holding, but the memory was loud. Tailspin stepping on him, the crack, the wheelchair, the 14 months of learning to walk before learning to ride. 7. His left side locked, the break, the invisible injury, his body trying to save him from something that wasn't happening anymore. Trey pushed through it, not with strength, with trust. Trust in the bull beneath him who had pushed through his own break 3 months ago in a dusty pen in Cushing. If Nickel could do it, so could he. 8. The buzzer sounded. Trey let go. Dismounted clean. Hit the dirt on both feet. Stood up. The arena was screaming. 14,000 people on their feet. The noise was so loud that Trey couldn't hear his own breathing. The scoreboard loaded. 89.5. 2 points above Brock Kimball, the highest score at the Prairie Circuit Finals in 3 years. In the stands, Dale Millsap put his coffee on the floor, put his face in his hands, and let 30 years of driving to rodeo grounds and sleeping in truck cabs and hoping his kid would find something worth chasing come out through his fingers. Floyd Kepler stood at the back of the arena, arms crossed, hat pushed back. The stock contractor who'd been about to sell a bull for meat weight watched Nickel trot to the exit gate with the composure of an animal who'd just done exactly what he was built to do. After 5 years of everyone telling him he couldn't. Trey walked to the exit gate. Nickel was standing there. The bull looked at him. Trey looked at the bull. No hug, no handshake. That's not how this works. Just 2 animals who'd spent 3 months walking circles in a dusty pen, teaching each other that the thing they were afraid of wasn't the thing that would end them. A look. That was enough. Dale found Trey behind the chutes. Didn't say much. Grabbed his son's shoulder. Held it. The way pipeline welders hold things. Tight enough to know it's solid. Gentle enough to know it matters. Your mom called, Dale said. Saw it on the live stream. Trey looked at his father. The man who spent $300 he didn't have on a used vest and a cracked helmet. Who drove to every arena within 100 miles so his kid could watch through a chain-link fence. What did she say? Dale almost smiled. She said you should have played football. They both laughed. The kind of laugh that carries everything in it that words can't hold. Nickel bucks on the Prairie Circuit full-time now. No fade. His scores put him in the top 10% of bulls in the region. Floyd turned down 2 offers to sell him, told both buyers the same thing. That bull's not for sale. He already proved what he's worth, and it's more than money. Trey is 27. He rides 6 months and coaches the other 6. Teaches young riders at a facility outside of Stillwater. Tells every kid the same thing on day 1. The bull isn't your enemy. He's your partner for 8 seconds. You're both scared of something. Figure out what it is, and ride through it together. Dana Cho framed the score sheet. 89.5. Hung it in her clinic next to the x-ray of Trey's pelvis. 2 things that looked broken. One night in Guthrie that proved they weren't.